Right. Hello, 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 hello. Yeah, do me a favor. Do yeah, quickly. Uh,
ready, if you do not make your way inside the hall, before we start,
please take your seat.
could everybody please come inside and be seated so that we can proceed? Vanikam, Namaste, Namaskaram, with a prayer.
Please take your seat. We're going to commence with the opening prayer. Can I ask all of you to rise to do the opening prayer? We want to commence with the Sri Ganesha mantra. We'll do that 4 times.
Shri
great mantras. Maha mantra.
First speaker, Communal.
Namaste, and silent to each and every one of you. Just a background in my association with Devan. Devan's late dad and my late mom were brother and sister. I'd like to start off with Devan when he was at the age of 4, and I'll tell you why just now. I used to love photography, and I used to wait for children to come home to take photographs. Now Devan at the age of 4, when I asked him to stand next to a car, he would stand there and within a while he'd say, "Mama, not like that, like this," and he would pose. Devan showed from that alone the qualities that he had, the responsibility. He lost his dad at the age of 25. He's got a mom. He was the only son, 2 daughters. Coming there is now late. But from the age of 25, Devan showed total responsibility as a father, as a brother, and as an uncle, and as a dad to Darshan. If I do get emotional, please forgive me. Because Devan and I go back a long way. Devan is the one, in all the years that I knew him, I've never heard him say one harsh word against anybody. The mere fact that there's so many of you sitting out here today, there's testimony of the quality and the tributes Devan. I know some of you call him Mars. I could never get down to calling him Mars. He was still Devan to me. He stood by his mum. He was a child of strength to her. He stood by his sister. He stood by his only nephew, Darshan. Put him to school. Got him qualified in IT. And then last year took the decision, not just because he's now on his own, that he's now qualified, but took the decision to open a business for him, a thriving business. That is a quality of Devan. He's going to be sorely missed, especially by his mom. She doted on him, she relied on him, and we only hope that where God has taken him to, that he's going to look down and care for Arthi, care for all the family that he did. Devan, we ask for you to guide them and protect them from all of us. Thank you.
For those of you who have just walked in, if you can kindly view, do the viewing now, and then we will continue with the speeches. So, if you all can gather to the front and do the viewing for those who haven't seen Devan as yet.
can hear me, my darling. Oh, you are listening to me. My baby. My baby. Baby, you like to the good in. You went to the good. You went to the good. Mother, I love you.
Can you come to the podium?
Namaste. Jai Shri Mataji. Jai Shri Mataji to all our family and friends. Today indeed is a very sad day as we are gathered here to bid farewell to our dearest Devan, Mars Chetty. Devan is my rocky brother, a very dear, special, humble, down-to-earth soul who epitomizes love and care. Devan's dad, Uncle Chetty, and my late dad we're in the Amsterdam Civic Ratepayers Association. Our families have been together for about 30 years. My interaction with Devan has been with Sahaja Yoga and at my work level. Devan was the most hard-working, strong, intelligent individual who had a wealth of knowledge about all aspects of life. He was an absolute leader. He was a brother that I could call at any time to sound some issues or queries, and he was always obliging to assist. Simply, Devan was a fixer. He was a fixer to everyone's queries and problems, always a listening ear, and my safety net. The word no did not form part of Devan's vocabulary. It was always love to do the best for everyone and to make everyone around him happy and comfortable. A quote by Her Holiness Sri Mataji Nirmala Devi, where she describes the effects of love. Human beings, their love is so beautiful. They look so beautiful only when they love. If you really love the world, if you really love this creation of God, then there should be no hatred. There should be no fights, but just good points. As a mother would care for her child, you should see the whole world as a beautiful place that God has created for you. This is exactly how Devan lived his life with his family and friends. He was an ideal husband, brother, son, and mama. A major loss for Ava, Simi, Arti, and Dakshin. Devan's life was Sahaja Yoga. He was on the council and he liaised with Sahaja Yogis from around the world. Devan's death was not only a loss to us in South Africa, but throughout the Sahaj Sangha. Many condolences and tributes have come from far and wide. Many sympathies have come from George and Paul Barberton in Cape Town, Bharti from Cape Town, Oliver from Ivory Coast, Jane in Cape Town. I would like to read a message from the collective, from the Cameroon collective. Jai Shri Mataji, my beloved sister Pravina, and all the Sahaja Yoga collective at South Africa. It is with a tight, bruised heart that on behalf of the Cameroon collective, I address you. What to tell you? It is the will of our Divine Mother, and she also knows why we urge him to see our humaneness and help us overcome him, to endure him, or as the Spirit. We say thank you to him for having put our brother Devan on the African path of Sahaja Yoga. We didn't need to know him physically. He was a quiet force, very subtle with the Sahaja Yoga in Africa. He said things with diplomacy, guarantor of African unity of Sahaja Yoga with the rest of the world. I remember his effective intervention during a Zoom with the CCs regarding the holding of Sri Mahakali Puja. Africa hosing that which we were paying back by making this even a subject. We remember from him, he was firm and rigid in making useful decisions for Sahaja Yoga in Africa. According to Brother Samuel Dosa, who preceded him on the path he has been on for a few hours. This divine spirit will be with us forever, and you will be in our hearts for eternity. Your mission ended this incarnation, and you bequeathed us to the African Sangha, a solid succession like Kasturi, Pravina, and many others. We promise to not let go. To the South African collective, courage. Too hard, it's true, but it's through hardships that we grow. Bon voyage, big brother. and above all, a speedy return to continue what you started. It's a grace that you've lived this incarnation and have seen and known Sri Mataji to the point of celebrating the centenary of her birth. Rest in peace at the sacred lotus feet of our Divine, and may she allow you to return very quickly for her work, because the task is immense and the workers must be numerous for this. May Sri Adi Bhumi Devi welcome you into the depths of her bowels. Glory to Sri Mataji. Long live the pure universal religion, Vishwa Nirmala Dharma, which will flood the whole world. Jai Sri Mataji. Long live death, because without it, there will be no rebirth. And there has been a condolences from the Malaysian collective and from the United Kingdom. Rest in peace, Devan. Our thoughts and prayers of the family, the Naisner collective, and from Ankit in India, and from Nigeria. To my dearest brother, thank you for always being there for us. Thank you to all the love that you gave us in our Sahaj collective. Thank you, and may you rest and go to the lotus feet of our Divine Mother. I'm quite certain you are already on your journey to her. Jai Shri Mataji.
Thank you, Vineshri. Our next speaker to pay tribute to Devan is Kumar Govindan, a close friend. Kumar, please make your way to the front.
Good afternoon. I conduct funerals as a job, but when you do it for your own, it's not easy. Devan and I have been friends since we were 8 or 9 years old. We moved into different areas and schools, but still maintained the contact. We met again at university, and the friendship just continued and became closer. We'd speak several times during the week, whether it was work or social. He was my go-to guy for anything, just about anything, because he knew people from all walks of life, and he could solve any issue that we faced. He had a brilliant mind and could solve any problem. Over the last 5 years, we grew even closer because of our involvement with the Tamil Business Warriors. He was our executive member of the committee and our deputy head. We were constantly discussing matters, and we attended meetings together, and he had such brilliant ideas. During our pre-conference last year, I saw his health taking a toll on him. But despite all of that, although he being so much slower, he ensured that he had attended all the meetings. We had his full support, and he ensured that this event was a success. We didn't know the seriousness of his illness because he never spoke about it. During all my years of business, he always promoted and supported me, often chatting about new ideas. When my son Kian joined us in February this year, we set up a meeting with him and Kian alone. Took him out to coffee. He sat with him and strategized and gave him ideas how to separate the different brands and run each company differently. I'm sure Kian will treasure this meeting and this memory with Devan. Devan was a genius. We all sit here today knowing that we've lost a legend. And all of us here today are close to Devan. We all know the parts he played in our life and the go-to guy he was. And on a lighter note, I don't often drive the hearse, but today I decided to drive the hearse because of Devan. And the husband said to me, while I was driving the hearse, this was Devan's slowest journey. Rest in peace, my friend.
Next to pay tribute is J.R. in play on behalf of APD.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of APD, Association of and for Persons with Disability, it is with deep sense of sorrow and sadness that I write this tribute on the demise of Devan Chetty. On behalf of the management, staff, and persons with disabilities of the association, our condolences are extended to the Chetty family on the loss of a beloved husband to Aarti, son and sibling. Devan's dad, late Mr. S.N. Chetty, was the founding father of the association in the early 60s. While seeking for an education for his daughter, who had a disability, it followed naturally that Devan, his mum and sister, Vimla, were and are still involved with the services rendered by the Association of APD. Whilst Vimla's services as Vice President of APD, Devan could not be directly involved in the management of the APD. However, Devan was a registered member of the association and played a very supportive role. In 2018, APD built a protective workshop for persons with disabilities at the RP Woodley School in Clare Estate. And named it the S.N. Chetty Workshop. Devan played a pivotal role when the workshop was officially opened. One of the key areas in marketing the association is via social media. It was through the effort made by Devan and his colleagues in business that APD now has a web page and also has a Facebook presence in social media. Establishing APD's presence in social media was done at no cost to the association, and the continual annual payments are made by the team. Thanks to Devan's intervention, APD is being marketed on social media and receives worldwide coverage. Devan also was prepared to fully support our fundraising efforts for the current 2023 year. APD planned a golf day and a gala dinner for the year. Devan promised to canvass his business colleagues in support of APD's fundraising. I am confident that his colleagues will honor him and still be a party to these ventures. On a personal level, the Chetty family were very close to my family and I. We lived in the same neighborhood and attended the same school. It is indeed a very sad loss to all of us. On behalf of APD, my family and I, our thoughts and prayers are with the Chetty family at his trying time. Let us cherish the wonderful memories and pray to God Almighty for comfort and inner peace for the family. May his soul rest in peace. My next speech is from Darshan. Mama, I want to thank you for everything you've done for our family. I want to thank you for being in my life as my father figure. You were the dad I never had. Being from learning to riding a bicycle, learning about cars, definitely got the Opal fever from you. And not forgetting the maths homework with all the shouting. The last 2.5 years has been the most touching to me as we spent all our days together, having lunch every day, working together, and learned all of life and business values. You are my role model, and I look up to you. This will be the hardest for me. I will miss the hundreds of phone calls a day, the lunches and times we had together. I have no idea who I'm going to talk to every day, but I promise to try and be at least. To me, Uncle Devan was a person who stood for what he believed in. A man with great respect, integrity, morals and values. He was always the go-to guy when anyone needed help, be it personal or financial. He was always there to rely on. And with his help, our lives became better. He saw me grow up alongside Darshan. And to me, he was a man that comes along once in a generation. We should all take a page out of his book and always give more and expect nothing in return. Thank you.
Next, to pay tribute to Mr. Kassim, who worked closely with Devan in his last company activity. Kassim.
How you look in this man like this?
Thank you, Jonathan. Greetings to all of you, and thank you for coming. My thanks to Arti and the family for giving me the opportunity to address you. Devan and I worked together, and just over 2 years ago, entered into a business relationship. On behalf of Liberty Life, the FMS Group, management and staff, our condolences to Arti, family and friends. And Banda and Keith, our regional executive, is amongst us. Banda, thanks for being here this afternoon. Devan took ill early in 2022, and I'm sure he had the best medical team to care for him. He was advised to take time off from his daily duties, which he officially did in February this year. This year, Devan traveled to India to consider alternate medicine. Sadly, he succumbed to his illness on Friday night. Working with Devan, I have learned a lot. His abundant mentality and servant leadership, putting the needs of others first, will be remembered by many. I know that for a fact. I will personally miss, on a lighter note, his lunchtime meetings, where we both enjoyed good food. If I like to share something with you, Devan and I spoke on many occasions about getting a balance between work and family. We all have limited time. Put some time aside to strengthen relationships with family and friends. We pray God gives his family the strength to endure for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Cass. Our next person to pay tribute to Devan is C.D. Reddy. C.D. Reddy, a close friend and working colleague for many years. CJ.
Ladies and gentlemen, firstly to Arti and the family, our deepest condolences from my family, from my wife Lisa, and the entire Liberty and Hereford family. My Bible says, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." And our prayer is for the family to be comforted in this time of need. Devan and I were good friends. We shared the last 13 or 14 years, probably had thousands of cups of coffee. And he was a better friend to me than I was to him. And I think that's probably what most people will say, is that Devan was a better friend. We had a business together, we were partners, we've never had an argument. There was nothing, there was never a fight. We had different opinions, but that was Devan. Devan could always find the positivity in it. And I've been angry with Devan. I look back, since Saturday thinking and those memories, and I felt guilty that I've been angry with this man, my friend. He's never been angry with me once. And I remember why I got angry. It's because I was like, Devan, don't let this happen. Fight. Get angry. I want to see you get angry. You're just allowing things to happen. And his response to me would be, ready? You want to be right or you want to be rich? And that was it. He never called me by my name. I've always been ready. When he phones me, ready, how are you? Ready, you free for a cup of coffee? Ready, don't get angry. Calm down. Okay? Karma. Okay, it's not yours. He used to quote the Bible to me. Whenever I used to get angry about something, he would be like, ready? What did the Lord say? Vengeance is mine, it's not yours. I'm going to miss my friend. I saw him 2 weeks ago. We had coffee. And I was hoping that he was recovering well. He's been a good friend to me. We spoke often. And like Cass said, it's going to be a loss to the Liberty family. I look around the table and I know his friends from growing up. He was so good at bringing in new friends and old friends together. I'm going to miss the birthday lunches. I'm going to miss the Chinese food that he loved, the biryani at the office. I look at the Liberty people over there, and I look at all the young lives that he helped to mold of young financial advisors. I look at where they started, and I look how successful they've become. And that's because Devan Chetty was more than just somebody's boss. He was a mentor, and he was heavily invested in the success of other people. Devan would go out of the way to make somebody else successful, even if he didn't need to. If you just mention, I've got a problem, okay, oh, geez, I gotta go fix that rim and that tire. Ready, hold on, I got a contact, okay? He'd make a phone call. 2 minutes later, I'm with a guy, and I paid 50%. That was Devan. Now look around, how many of you have done that? Whenever you've had an issue, it doesn't matter. Banking problem, say no more. Call Devan, he'll sort it out. So guys, today, I want to say that I think like you, we are all deeply saddened. But I'm going to hold on to the fact that we were lucky enough to be in his life. We were lucky enough to call him friend, brother, family member. In every organization that he worked for, he added in his own indelible touch that meant that he couldn't help but be impacted by it. So whether he was in APT or the Sahaja Yoga or at Liberty, he's left an indelible mark in all our lives. Devan, you lived a life worth living. And I can only say that my remaining days, that I will try and emulate all the good values that you had. Thank you.
Thank you, Stevie. I tried to skip my speech. I let a few people go before me because I got this lump in my throat. And it took me some time to get courage to talk to all of you. So, I'm Trinesan, close friend of Devan, ex-working colleague. Maha Devan Chetty. Devan, as most of you knew him. And to all his close friends, Mars. To me, Devan was not just a friend, but over time we have become brothers. He was the big brother I never had. 36 years of friendship, who's counting? Known from 14 years old. We've, 36 of friendship that we shared together that I don't think many of you sitting around here even knew. You just know us to be working together for a few years. But we had this bond. He was my mentor, my confidant, my shoulder to cry on, my advisor, my go-to person, like CJ says. We all had him as our go-to person. And even before I made an important decision, I would check with him first. He would listen to me carefully and then talk to me about the pros and cons. Even if he didn't have an immediate resolution or solution for me, he would phone me later on and give me the best possible advice, as only a caring big brother would do. Even before I bought anything, I would check with Devan, because he always knew where I could get what I wanted, but cheaper. Saving me money always. When it came to food, I mean really good food, then Devan was the go-to person, as he was a foodie, a real connoisseur. He would tell you where to go to get the best and tastiest food in town. And he would even send me to restaurants I never knew existed. And I'm from Devan, I never used to know these places. He would send me to these places and I would be amazed by what I was served. As our friendship developed and as we got older, working in the corporate world, Devan asked me to join him in 2013, where him and CJ Reddy had started Legacy Wealth Solutions. And that was the start of a journey that led to strong relationships between us and the staff that we hired that have also become family. To this day, people have come and gone, but Devan still maintained that bond he shared with them, as if they've never left. He would invite everybody he cared about to his birthday lunches, be it at work, outside of work, with his friends and his colleagues. Devan's birthday celebration would last a month, sometimes longer than a month, because he had so many groups of friends that he used to set up his get-togethers for them and really enjoyed having people around him. So there used to be more than 1 or 2 lunches in that month and all these get-togethers that he really thoroughly enjoyed. He would never buy food for himself, but instead, if he liked eating something, he would make sure that everybody in the office would get to indulge, and that's how it was. Devan was a family man who loved his dear wife Arti, his sister Simi, his nephew Darshan, whom he treated like a son, and was a father figure too, and his dear mum, who we called Ma, and she was his life. A 1 in a million that touched the lives and hearts of many, and always helping everyone that came in his path. So one day I sat him down and I said to him, Devan, I think your purpose in life is to help people. And I was certain that was his purpose, and his response to me was, Tease, we got to do what we got to do. And that's exactly what he did. Today is the saddest day. We say goodbye to our brother, our friend, our shoulder to cry on, our legend, our superhero. Life will never be the same without you, Devan. And I want to thank you for all that you have done for me and my family, and all those around you and their families. Your kindness and generosity will never be forgotten. You were certainly blessed and a blessing to all. I never expected to be standing up here today saying my farewell to you. And as the saying goes, gone too soon is fitting here, as you still had so much to do and so much to live for. Devan, your presence and the time we had with you, we will cherish. It was an honor to have known you personally. The wisdom you have bestowed upon us certainly taught us to be better human beings in these times, and in these times are so fitting. Even your quotes on social media used to be so meaningful and full of encouragement. To be the best version of oneself is the message that you were sending out to all of us. I know you were the rock at home with your family and your friends all over the world, as well as your Sahaja Yoga family, whom you were so dedicated to, as well as all the groups that you were involved with, like Kumar said, TBW. There was also a Financial Planning Institute, just to name a few. Your words of wisdom will never be forgotten. You always said, and the Liberty staff especially will remember this, there's the right way, there's the wrong way, and there's Devan's way. We will continue to make you proud and to be kind as you were, and to treat people with respect as you have led by example. On behalf of all your staff, your pain and suffering, and may your Atma attain moksha, and the Almighty give your dear wife Arti, your mum, Ma, sister Simi, nephew Darshan, and the rest of your family and friends and work colleagues the strength they need during the saddest time. Till we meet again. Thank you. Our next speaker will be Pat. Pat, can you come forward? Pat will speak on behalf of the immediate family.
Namaste, Om Sairam, greetings to friends and family. My name is Pat Naidu, I'm Mars Jibril, his nephew on his maternal side. I've been given the honorable task this afternoon of reading out speeches that have been prepared about Arti's family, for Arti itself, and by Sami. So the family, message from the Shankar family, from both Anil and Pankaj, Jai Shri Mataji, our heartfelt condolences to Arti and family. Devan was a gentle-hearted human being who only knew to love. We have very fond memories of him spending lovely and laughing time in India. May Mother give him the highest seat beside her. Devan, we love you and miss you. Jai Shri Mataji. Next speech I'm going to read out is from his sister Simi. My very precious brother, you were chronologically my little brother, but figuratively my big brother. Since I came back home to you and Amma 25 years ago, I was taken aback with open arms, and I thank you. I love you, Devan. Devan, you were my rock, my life, and actually my whole world. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, that I did without asking or telling you or consulting. You were not only my financial planner, but the planner of the world, but my personal planner as well. You insisted on my retiring early, and this happened last year. You ensured that I was settled, and for that I thank you. I love you, Devan. I'm glad that I told you this all the time and you heard it. I also knew that you knew that I love you and the love that I had for you. Because I don't think anyone was more spoiled than you were. You were our world and our man in our home. When it came to Darshan, you were his dad, his role model and his go-to person for anything, from restaurants, cars, technology, and business acumen, and much more. Darshan, from a baby, almost any chance he had, he got into wearing Devan's shoes. Now, he has to literally wear those shoes. You were everything to him, Devan, and he had the utmost love and respect for you, including adoration for you. Your love for cars has been passed down to him. He emulates you in the most aspects you brought him up with, and for who he is today. Our prayer is that this legacy of yours lives on in Darshan. I always told you I loved you, and didn't need to say this always. You were well known. Sorry, apologies. I always told you that Dad thought that he was well known. But you were going to have a name, and that you were going to have a name of your own. in your 53 years, this is what I've seen. I will not only question, I will not question Sri Mataji as to why she took you to be with us so soon. Because she knows best and she has her own plans. You were the best husband anyone could ask for, and I have the utmost respect for you. The way you respected, loved, and cherished Aarti, you took upon such good care for her and ensured that she provided for all her needs. Devan, you were Amma's egg, and I playfully said that always. She worshipped the ground and the water. Devan, our whole world came crashing down on the night of the 26th of May, Friday night, at exactly 20:57. We were thrown into the deep end. Those who spoiled us. We relied on you. For that we continue. The last speech that I have written is from Aarti, and I do apologize, because Aarti's first language is not English, but I think it encapsulates the love and adoration that she has for Devan. Sri Mahadev is the best in the world. For me, he is a great soul. When I was filling my form in for my wedding, by the grace of Sri Adi Shakti, and after that, in my prayer and meditation, I asked for a special person. And indeed, I want a special person who was special, generous, a big heart to give to others, and to forgive others, like Lord Shiva. After marriage, I realized he's the same person that I asked for, and which my wish from Sri Adi Shakti has come true. I've grown to love him more deeply over the time, Mahadevan. I'd like to do anything for him. His eyes, his smile, so innocent, yet like Lord Shiva. In conversation, we were chatting and we were talking about past birth, future birth, and present birth. And you, in my previous birth, I was your wife. In my current birth, I also have feelings of your wife. And I am now ready to meet you in our next birth, by the grace of Sri Adi Shakti, Sri Mataji. But I also have tremendous love for him. I have tremendous love for him. And I always try to show this to him, in front of him and feel so. He is always a winner. I love you forever, Devan. Mahadev, Jai Shri Mataji. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So we'd like to do the guard of honor, and we have Mr. Baldwin Lee to represent the always.
Good afternoon. Mars sinking is a shock to us as a family. We've known Mars for the past 30 years, and this wasn't supposed to happen. Like this. I wasn't supposed to be talking at the funeral, but here I am. I consider myself blessed to have lived through a phase in Mars' life, and those of all the friends, the drag racing boys in Guru, Srini, Kumar, Nainu, Anand, Yasin, Manukhan, and other members of the Boys Club. Regularly gather at the Blue Lagoon. It's a part of my life that I always cherish. Mars was always the quiet, gentle soul watching over everything. I will always be grateful to Mars and other members and the other members for watching out and taking care of my children and the family at the Blue Lagoon. Till the very end, Mars mentored and took care of my youngest daughter, Vidyanka, at the Tamil Business Warriors, guiding her along the way. Just last week, I got a call from Gavi who said, Uncle Mars shared something special with I'm going to share it with you. I just loved it, so today I think I'd like to share it very clear. And it started off very simply. It just said, simple formula for living. This was written by Marx. It said, live beneath your means, return everything you borrow, stop blaming other people, admit it when you make a mistake, give clothes, not want to charity, do something nice and try not to get caught. Listen more, talk less. Every day take a 30-minute walk. This time, take time to be alone, cultivate good manners, be humble, realize and accept that life isn't fair, know when to keep.
Julie, my daughter Alexia, to Aarti, Mom, Simi, Darshan, our endless cohort of close friends, many of who are seated here today, Rodney, who is online from Toronto, Canada, and Kiona from San Diego. Mars played a pivotal role as a confidant to many of you. And each of you would probably have a different story to tell if you're given a chance to speak. He was a pivotal part of our group of friends, whose bonds extended well beyond 30 years on average. I speak on behalf of this group of friends today, with a lump in my throat. Rodney, Sujay, Anmol, Nelson, Leon, Kiran, Srini, Lady, and there's so many numerous others that are seated at the back, form part of the Mars inner circle. That's a lifetime. 30 years on average is a lifetime by any standards. So trying to find sufficient words to express how we feel today is a daunting task. We will cherish the fond memories that we shared together with Mars of the spontaneous drives, having a midnight burger from Bob on Go and Coconut Grove, dining at fine restaurants on special occasions, drag racing down the logs, Blue Lagoon and Gainey Road. Each of the boys' stag parties before they finally gave in to marriage, and the frequent trips to the Drakensberg to either enjoy a weekend away, and sometimes to Johannesburg to rescue an Opel Superboss in the back of a flatbed truck. Or even supporting Nelson as he's about to set his next quarter-mile record at Tarleton Racetrack. I think there were many occasions that I recall where we were leaning over the edge of the engine bay, a greasy engine bay, in Nelson's workshop, or sometimes even standing outside a nightclub in the wee hours of the morning before heading back home. Or lastly, holding on for our dear life, while either Nelson, Sujay, Rodney, and others were throwing a car on the bend at over 200 kilometers an hour. The memories are just too many to recall, but I'm sure the movie reels of these precious and hilarious moments, times of crisis and need, and notable occasions and events, have all been playing in our minds since we learned of his passing. Mars was an entrepreneur at heart, and always trying new things, establishing new things, new businesses, such as hardware stores in Westville, Sonex, a car wash, around the 1990s, and this was about the time that I actually was introduced to Nadev. Like you've heard earlier from the many speakers before, he was the consummate working professional and was a key go-to guy for dispensing personal, financial, and investment advice. There was nothing that Mars was unable to find out about. When something was beyond his own knowledge base, he just pointed you in the direction of somebody else. So he knew people who knew people who knew people. He was a humble man of honest means and integrity. He never thought of himself more esteemed than others. He demonstrated in practice what it means to serve other people and put their needs before his own. He was also a veritable treasure trove of sometimes useful and sometimes useless information. Not just about his core profession as a financial planner and investment broker, but also about current events in the community, who was making bold moves on the business front, as well as some of the more colourful characters in Devan, were the stars in the centre of the latest contract. Beneath him, what you see is what you got. No hidden agendas, and he was very transparent with everybody. The R is for reliable. You could depend on this guy for pretty much anything. If he said he was going to pitch up, he pitched up. He never ever let you down. And the S is supportive. He was always providing encouragement and assistance to everyone. His family, his friends. Well, I think somebody said earlier, he didn't know how to say no to anybody. And he was always there to deal with people and help them through their calamities and their troubles. I want to read a tribute from Rodney in Canada as part of my speech. He was my friend, my rock, my brother since 1988. Never failed me, ever failed me. Never faltered, never failed. From the many eras we've been through together, that is all I've ever heard from friends, and the many reports from mutual acquaintances. The one constant was always, the first man to put his hand up to help was our dearest Mars. A gracious, giving soul, never bragging, a silent angel to many. He was the friend that would fight for you behind your back and never tell you about it, a legend in every right. And this is a tribute from Kiana in San Diego. Our sincere condolences, dearest Afi, Ma, Auntie Simi, Darshan. The shock is utterly devastating. I am deeply sorry for your loss. Devan was the best friend I've ever had the fortune of having in my lifetime. There is and will never be anyone like him. Devan, as you all know, has always tried his utmost to be the best husband, son, brother, uncle, friend ever. And that's exactly what he was, the absolute best to everyone who knew him. The motto he lived by was work hard, play hard. And that's exactly what he did. He was always incredibly invested in all his relationships. That's what he taught. The powerful impact of being invested in the people you love. I will forever be grateful for the love, kindness, and the treasured friendship. He saved so many of us from difficult situations, lifted us up and made us strong. Even though we have not been able to see one another in person for over 20 years, we have always managed to maintain our bond of friendship. It's incomprehensible to me that I will not be hearing from him ever again, or trying to plan and figure out when we would finally introduce our families to each other. This was supposed to be the year, Devan. Recently I told him that my daughter wanted to know, who is Uncle Devan, Mama? And Devan's response was, the foodie mayor of Durban. I laughed so hard because that was Devan. I love you, my friend, my brother, Devan, Master Chetty. May you rest peacefully at the lotus feet of God Almighty amidst the angels in the heavens above. To all of you, as Devan will say, stay strong, love Kyo. In conclusion, I'm going to read something that's really significant. It's called What Will Matter by a man named Michael Josephson. Ready or not, someday it will all come to an end. There will be no more sunrises, no minutes, hours, or days. Your wealth, fame, and power will shrivel to irrelevance. Your grudges, resentments, frustrations, and jealousies will finally disappear. So too, your hopes, ambitions, plans, and to-do lists will expire. The wins and losses that once seemed so important will fade away. It will not matter where you came from or what side of the tracks you lived at the end. It will not matter whether you're beautiful or brilliant. Even your gender and skin color will be irrelevant. What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Not what you got, but what you gave. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, or sacrifice that enriched, empowered, or encouraged others. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is for what you will be remembered. Living a life that matters doesn't happen by accident. It's not a matter of us. You have made time. And on this occasion of your final rites and passage into the world beyond, we bid you all good night. Rest well, our dear brother.
Next we have Nitesh Matai, also
the 25 years or so since I come to Joburg, ours has always been my connection to Durban. Something happened, pick up the phone and ask him. If somebody was in trouble or there was something happening in Durban, Mars would always be the one to know. And so, as I walked through this weekend after finding out on Friday night, I found myself reaching for my phone constantly, wanting to call him, to find out how everybody is, to find out how the rest of the boys are. I found myself yearning for his voice, for his insight. You know, so many people use the word go-to guy, and that was exactly what Mars was to so many of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I consider Mars my brother in every aspect of the word. He was an amazing person. He graced our lives with profound presence, touching us in ways that words fail to capture. He was a friend, a brother, and a role model, like so many people before me have said. His undying spirit, his genuine enthusiasm, and his intellectual prowess all made those long talks that I had with him on a regular basis something that I will miss terribly. As we celebrate and remember a man who was so much more than a friend, we also tell the story of a man that was made up of these fantastic contradictions and paradoxes. Mars was a giant of a man, both physically and in personality. Yet, he was the kind, gentlest person that made him so approachable and comforting. With that warm, silly smile that you see in that picture there, that immediately unnerved you and made you that made you immediately disarmed and want to be his friend. He was a towering intellect, as you all know, but his humility was just as immense. Mars was never about outshining others. He was about illuminating paths for those around him, attentively lending an ear to our wildest ideas and providing carefully considered advice in return. The truth of the matter is that Mars had every reason to be an arrogant narcissist, because he had achieved so much, he had so many friends, he had done so much in his life. But the reality of it is that he was opposite. He was opposite in both his deeds and his words. I know that if he was sitting here today, how uncomfortable it would be for him to be hearing these words that people were saying, listening to this. I can just imagine him squirming in his seat and looking down at the floor, not making eye contact with the people that were speaking. He was a man of great taste, and with an eye for detail and appreciation for beautiful things, except for his love of opals. But that's an argument we'll have when I see him again later. However, his empathy was his most refined trait, an understanding that our true work was not in what we possessed or drove or appeared to be, but in the marks that we leave on the world and in the hearts of those that we touch. Mars was a social connector and a hub of relationships, always willing to link you with others. He knew everybody, and he could put you in touch with anybody. But more importantly, he understood that people were not a means to an end, but rather were the end product, and that's what he invested in. Mars was an incredibly proud person, and he was proud not as a person, but he was proud of the people in this room. It was unbelievable in the conversations that we had. You know, he was so proud of his friends. When we spoke, we'd go through the list and he'd tell me how proud he was of Strin, Essen, Karen, Kiran, Kuben, Rodney, Sujay, Prigasan, Kevin, Rajan, Kumar, Sadiq, Sanj, Bob, the TBWA, Kumar, Laven, Yobin, Raul, Jets, the list just went on, and we would talk for hours about how well everybody was doing. But like somebody said, he would do this from afar. He would never brag about it. He was always on your side, but you never knew. You know, he would do something nice when you were trying to report every time. Your successes and your achievements were his victories and his joy. He reveled in them and he basked in the light of your accomplishments. Mars supported his friends' businesses fiercely, whether it was your car dealership or workshop, your nightclub. Karen will attest to the many nights at Planets, your restaurant or your website. He was the first one to buy your products, refer clients, share your articles, like your posts, or bring people and events to your restaurant, and then stood back and applauded your success like he had nothing to do with it. His dedication to his friends was only surpassed by that of his to his family here in Devan, in Australia, and in India. His love for his mother, his sisters, and his nephew was profound and unwavering. No ask was too big, no road too long, and no task too daunting when it came to his family. And when Aarti came into his life, we witnessed the depths of his capacity to love. The way he cared for her, the way he cherished their moments, was something talking about what are we going to eat tonight, what should I bring home, where are we going to go, what are we going to do tonight, to understand how much he cared for her. After you brought out the side of him, that was the sweetest thing to see. He was attentive to her every need, and she had his full attention at all times. It was clear that you were merely a distraction when they were together, and that she was the only thing that mattered. It was a beautiful testament to his loving spirit. In the 30 or so years that I knew Mars, a relationship that started because I owned a black car and he had a car wash, so it was a match made in heaven at the time. Mars and I shared countless conversations and lengthy discussions about life, dreams, cars, and everything in between. We counseled each other through many disasters and shared with each other's victories as if they were our own. Mars, Trini, and I worked on a few projects together in the last few years, and Mars had a way of grounding us and reminding us about the importance of our roles in life. We always went back to those memories though. Those crazy nights down the M2 in a burgundy BMW of dubious origin, in that Monza of his, in that Corsa Bacchi of his, in other cars, like Winky put earlier on, in the days before ABS. It's surprising that some of us made it this far. Or in Planets, or at Essence Workshop. These are all memories that we dredged up time and time again and lived time and time again. Mars showed us the importance of our roles in our lives, not through explicit instruction, but through the way he chose to live his life. It was a life devoid of judgment, prejudice, or malice. My deepest regret, Mars, is that I never got to tell you any of this in person. You needed to know how much you meant to all of us. And Aarti, no words are often inadequate in the face of such sorrow. You all feel a gaping void that seems impossible to fill. But let me assure you that this gathering here of men and women whose lives Mars touch are his brothers and sisters, and we are here for you just as he was for you. As we say our final goodbyes, Mars, know that you will forever be loved, cherished, and memories. Rest easy, my brother, and thank you for the memories.
Jai Shri Mataji, Namaste. Assalamu alaikum. Sonibamani. It is indeed a very sad day. We're all gathered here this afternoon to pay tribute to a loving husband, loving and caring husband, I would say, a loving son, a loving brother to Sami, a fatherly figure to this young man that's standing there, Darshan. He's learned so much from his uncle, and I think that is going to hold him in good stead for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the whole Sahaja Yoga fraternity, locally and internationally, is in a state of mourning. I just can't explain to you the messages that we have received worldwide. This gentleman has touched many hearts, and the mere fact that so many of you are present to witness this farewell is an indication that he touched you in some way or other. My contribution this afternoon, my input, is going to be purely on Sahaja Yoga. I will be mentioning things like self-realization. I will be mentioning Srimataji Nirmala Devi, whom Devan loved dearly. I've known Devan for now about 25 years. He was a soft-spoken, caring, loving person, very generous. The speakers have told you, you go to Devan, he's the fixer. My input is Devan's contribution to Sahaja Yoga. He's made immense contributions to Sahaja Yoga, and he never wanted any sort of fame or glory for that. He took his self-realization around about 95, I would say. At that stage, it was a transition. He found spirituality, but he wasn't too sure how it worked. As he grew in years, he started to understand the principles of self-realization and the teachings of Srimataji Nirmala Devi. I'm going to highlight to you about 2003, he accompanied me to India, where it was Srimataji Nirmala Devi's 80th birthday. And as our contribution from South Africa, we took 80 devotees to India. It was a mammoth task to take so many in one go. He was a tremendous help in India, and then I realized that this man, this young man, had become serious about spirituality. I think he took to Srimataji's teachings, and in that year, 2003, I think he prayed to the Mother, to have a way forward in his life. And I think his prayer was answered. That same year, in December, Devan was matched to this beautiful personality in Aarti. This was like a match made in heaven. And truly, I'm saying literally, this was a match made in heaven. He was married in the presence. He was so fortunate to be married in the presence of Srimati. When they came back to South Africa, we met with Marty, and she considered both myself and my wife as her parents. She loved us, and we in turn loved her, gave her all the support coming from a strange country. As the years grew in his marriage, Devan grew to love Aarti, and in turn, Aarti loved Devan. In 2006, our greatest contribution was when we gave self-realization to about 600 people in Devan. Yet again, Devan played a significant role in that regard. He was the communications man, he was the advertising man, and he also was there with the PowerPoint presentation. That was such a success when 600 people their self-realization. Now you may wonder, some of you may wonder, what is the self-realization? Now, this self-realization is the one that if you read the scriptures, you'll find that the saints and sages went out looking for the self-realization, which in turn is called the moksha, the freedom to worship God the way you want to worship God. There, somebody said, must get moksha. And I think he's attained his moksha through his self-realization. Did tell you that these sages and saints went out into the Himalayas to find this self-realization or the moksha, and they came back. Some of them, they did get it, but unfortunately, they were not able to impart it to you and I. With the advent of Srimati Nirmala Devi in 1970, she was able to give this moksha to everyone. And we, as Sahaja Yogis, are fortunate to have had this self-realization. It was one of the most beautiful things that happened in our life. It's changed our lives completely. Somebody said Devan was a master of food. Indeed. Just recently, I had the occasion to be with him, and I spent some quality time, be it faith or be whatever you call it. We became closer in the last month or two, and we sat for Darshan's birthday and spent some quality time together. There, I was treated to Italian, Chinese, Portuguese, and of course, the Indian cuisine. He was a connoisseur of food, as somebody said. I'd like to take this opportunity to say to Aarti and Ma Ma, Devan loved you. The best respect we can give him today is to send him off in a peaceful manner. That is the request that you would want you to do. Please, I know it is difficult, but you will be able to overcome that with the grace of Srimati. Ladies and gentlemen, we will also perform the final rites, and I think the guard of honor is going to come through.
Sahaja Yoga devotees, the family really appreciate all of you and imitation that jazzy, unique sound and audio and visual for your contribution and support during this time of bereavement. And please note we will also proceed across the road for a meal, and you all know that Devan wouldn't want it any other way than all of us to share a meal together.
Thank you.
family and friends, well, immediate family. We're going to do roses with the immediate family. All of Devan's immediate family. And we proceed. And then it's going to be one final prayer before we lift off. So if the family could do the viewing now.
Ladies and gentlemen, a special request. Let's do justice to Devan, you would love that. Supper will be served at the Art-Only School, and the request is every one of you that is young, please join us. People, come through this way. And let's do it as quickly as possible. We are late already. Technique. If you want to offer roses, just do it as quickly as possible. We're going to do the final rites. So if you... if you can close your eyes, just for a few seconds, all you do is the greatest respect you can give the soul is Atma and achieve this yoga union with God Almighty. Achitananda Rupam Shiva